Hi, lovely people. Welcome to Vibe Fashion's YouTube channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today, we're going to be learning how to make a high waist skirt with an extended band that you can use to form a bow at the back of the skirt, as you can see in the video. It has a bow at the back. I hope this is what you're interested in learning. Kindly stay tuned while we get right into the tutorial. And please do not forget to subscribe and also put on the notification bell so that you get notified once I post a new video. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric for the skirt. I'll be drafting for both front and back together. So the back piece is the one that is under and the front piece is on top. You'll notice that the back piece is extended by 1.5 inches, which will serve as my zip allowance. Okay, so the length of the skirt I'm making is 42 inches. It's a high waist skirt, so this is 42 inches, and the length of the band is going to be 3 inches long. So 42 minus 3, that will give me 39. So on this fabric I have on the table, I'll be marking 39 inches plus my hemming allowance of 2 inches, so that will be 41 inches, because the band I'll be attaching to it is going to be 3 inches long. I hope you understand. So the measurements needed are the waist measurement, the hip measurement, and the length. That's the length from the waist to the hip, the length from the waist to the knee, and then your waist to full length, which here now we're going to be using 39 inches plus hemming allowance of 2 inches. Okay, so first I've gone ahead to draw my starting line. So having drawn the starting line, I'm going to mark 39 inches here. So 39 inches plus my hemming allowance of 2 inches. So basically the length I have there, everything is about 41 inches minus my starting line over there. So I'll go ahead and do that. Now I'll go ahead and mark the waist to hip line. And the waist to hip line is 9 inches. Okay. So this is me just placing my tape from -3 to show us that the length is stopping at 42 inches. So here we are. So I'll go ahead and mark the waist to hip line. It's 8.5, and then the waist to knee line also, I'm going to mark that there. So please work with your measurements. So having done that, I'm just going to go ahead and straighten out my lines, and then I'll go ahead to add quarter of the waist measurement. So you can see that that is my center front. So all measurements are starting from there. I'm taking my measurements from that center front, excluding my 1.5 inches, which is for the zip allowance. So take note of where I am placing my tape, please. So here I'm marking quarter of the waist measurement, and then I'll add 1 inch for that, and then 2 inches for my sewing allowance. So on the hip mesh line there, I'm going to mark quarter of the hip measurement and then 2 inches for my sewing allowance. Then on the knee line, whatever I have on the hip line determines what I'll be using on the knee line. So if on the hip line now, already I said quarter of the hip measurement plus 2 inches, I'll be subtracting 1.5 from what I have there. And I already have 9.5 plus 2 inches, that's 11.5. So when I subtract 1.5 from it, I'll have 10 inches. So I'm going to mark 10 inches on the knee line there, and then I'll also take the same 10 inches to the hem line. Okay, so you can see I'm repeating that. So that's exactly what I have. So a difference of 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to connect my markings. Okay, now go ahead to connect it this way. Okay, so having done that, now we have our front piece. So for the front piece here, I'm going to come down on the waistline here. I'll come down by 3/4 of an inch. This is to create the waist slope, and you don't want to have gathering around the hip line because the front is shorter than the back. That's our front is shorter than our back that carries the butt. Okay, so I came down by 3/4 of an inch. I'll mark it to the exact measurement here, not to the sewing allowance. Okay, so now our front piece is ready. So we're going to treat the back. So the back now, you can see that I have an extension of 1.5 here, 1.5 here, which is supposed to be for my zip allowance. Then 1.5 here also. So now on this zipper, on this knee line, I will go in by 1 inch. So if I have 1.5 and I go in by 1 inch, I'll be left with half inch. I'll do the same thing here too. I'll go in by 1 inch, then 1 inch. This is to create that bum illusion so that the butt at the back comes out well and has that nice fit. It's not, our butt is not straight at the back. So can you see that? So now I'll come back and connect it to the hip line. So basically, I'm not removing anything from the hip line. I'm coming back to my 1.5 here on the hip line. So on this part where the zip will be, the back is smaller at the back. That's our back, our waist at the back is smaller compared to the front. This front carries the stomach. This place is more inward because the spinal cord, of course, you understand what I'm trying to say. Our spinal cord is inward. So you have to remove excess from here in order to avoid having bulge at the back of your zipper, or that gap in that space you see in between some skirts that was not removed. So here I have 1.5. I'm going to be taking away half inch from it, so I'm left with 1 inch. So now that I'm left with 1 inch, of course, this skirt I'll be lining it. So my lining with half inch, I'll be left with half inch. So now for me to complete my zip allowance of 1 inch, that means it will come into the main measurement. So by coming into the main measurement, that means I have removed half inch from the actual measurement. So it will tighten the skirt. And remember that we're dealing with two sides. So by the time we take half inch here, it will also affect the other side. That will be 1 inch, and also it will allow the skirt lap properly. So I'll bring it back here. Okay, so can you see what the back looks like? It now looks as if there's another hip here, of course, because the butt is not flat, so we're giving it that butt rise. Okay, so now on the knee line, remember that I took away 1 inch here. Of course, if we don't replace back that 1 inch, there's going to be a shortage. Remember that we're going to have slit, and then also by the time we turn our lining with half inch, that means there's no more zip allowance or slit allowance there. So we'll have to come back here to this side and return it. So I'll get another color of chalk so that I can mark I can show us the difference. So on this point, I'm going to return back the 1 inch that I removed from there. I hope we can see it clearly. And then I'll bring it back also here. So can you see? So I returned back my 1 inch here. And then of course I will zero-rise at the hip line. You can see just like I didn't add anything to the hip line here, I'm not adding nothing there. So I just zero-rised at that point. That is that for our skirt. So right now I'm going to be cutting the back first since the back is bigger. So now the first thing we'll do is to cut the starting line here. So every other measurement affects the back also. So I just altered those places I need to alter. The back has is that, it has every other thing that the front too has. So now I'll come here to cut out this zipper bulge. You can see I didn't return this because we don't need it. We don't want our skirt to gape at the back. So here, I'm now cutting out the bum illusion. Can you see that? So I'm going to come now and cut on this side. I'll be cutting on the orange line because that is our back. So just trim. Okay, this is actually my full length here. So just trim the rough part. Okay. So can you see now that we have our back? So all I need to do now is to notch the zip allowance part here. This is to indicate that this is the center back. Because you can see when you look at the both of them, they look alike. So you don't want to make that mistake. So you notch the center back. So now we'll take out our back piece. So I haven't taken out the back piece. So now we'll cut the front exactly the way the front should be. So first I'm going to remove the waist sloper. Second, I'll come here and cut on the actual side front. That's the yellow line. So here we are. So you can see we have our two back pieces. Now we have our front. So can you see the back is bigger than the front? So by the time we bring it this way to this side, because this is how we're going to be sewing it, can you see that 1.5 inches zipper has shown up on this side? So that's that for cutting the front and the back piece. So all I need to do now is to cut my lining, and I'm going to be making it 2 inches shorter. Then I'll show us how to cut the band. I'm done cutting my lining. You can see it is 2 inches shorter. This is for the front, and then also the back. I've also cut it out 2 inches shorter. So all I need to do now is to take the my skirt to the sewing machine, and then I'll be sewing this way. I'll be placing my lining on the right side. This is for the back piece. I'll place my lining on the right side. Going to sew the hem here, and then of course I'll push it up this way, close up this side and close up this side. Then I'll bring it out from the waistline. So I'll repeat the same thing for the second one. And then for the front, I'm going to also place the lining on the right side, and then I'll sew the hem also, sew the side and bring it out on the waistline. For the band now, I've gone ahead to cut out the band. My fabric is on fold, you can see it's folded into four, and then the length is 40, so that's 80 inches in all. I want it to be able to form that nice bow at the back. Circumference I'm attaching this to is 27, so you can see the difference. Just want to form the bow very well. And then here you can see my fabric is on fold also. So here I have a length of 5 inches. Of course, when I open that is 10 inches. So remember I said my band is going to be 3 inches long. So here is my center front. This folded part is going to be the center front. So I want the band to be 3 inches long. So you can see I will mark on 3.5 because I'll be using half inch to join the band to the skirt. So then I'll place my ruler this way and slant it. I want this part to be fatter, that's kind of bigger around here. Just gives it that nice fit around the back there. Can you see? So I'm going to cut it out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out like this. So I haven't cut it out like this. Can you see? This is what I have. So this side is quite wider. So now I'm going to apply my paper stay on this band. So I'm going to apply paper stay on this band, and then I'll fold half inch this way. I'll do the same thing to this side. I'm not going to be cutting this part opened. My linings, as you can see, both sides and then the center. And then I went ahead to fix my zipper. Can you see? Went ahead to fix my zipper and I've properly sewn my darts. So for the back dart, the length is 6.5 inches, 6.5 inches, and the back this side is 6.5 inches. The distance I use for the dart is the nipple to nipple of my client, which is 7. That's half of it is 3.5. So I told my dart was 6 inches. So for the front, the length of the dart is 5.5 inches. So you can see this is my 5.5 inches, and also the distance of 7 inches. So half half, you can see what I have here. So you can see before fixing my zipper, I closed up the center back and then stopped above, and I stopped 18 inches above, 19 inches above the hem. This is so that I can have my slit. This is going to be for the slit. So with that being said, now I've drawn my shape, so I'm going to go and sew the sides, and I'll also do the same thing here. So remember that I added 2 inches to my measurement. Here now you can see that I have about 1 inch. This is 1 inch here, and then on the waistline I have 1.5. So I used half inch to turn my lining inside. So you can see I'm supposed to be left with 1.5, but on the hip line, because you want to have some ease, so that is why I'm marking on 1 inch here, so that I can be left with 1 inch ease. Let me explain this. I added 2 inches sewing allowance, so now I have 1 inch here now. So I'm going to have ease of 1 inch, because adding 2 inches to it, and I've used half inch to sew in here already, and then this is 1 inch. So that means I'm left with half inch. So this half inch be on both sides, that's 1 inch. The front too, half inch on both sides, that's 1 inch. So that will give me 2 inches ease, so that this person can sit comfortably, bend, and do whatever she wants to do. But on the waistline, I didn't add any ease here, because you need the waistline to be very firm. You need the band to be firm around here. So that is why what I have left, which was 1.5, I used exactly that. Okay, so I'm just going to sew on this side, do the same thing on this side, and then I'll show us how to fix the band. I've already gone ahead to apply my paper stay on the band. It's folded into two. So let me quickly shape it and come back and show us. My skirts, you can see this is what we have on the wrong side. I've sewn it neatly. So now I went ahead to sew my band. Remember, I placed it on the wrong side, and then you can see I stitched it down. Can you see? So I stitched it down on the wrong side, just on one side. Okay, so now at this point here, I closed up this side, and I also did the same thing for this side. So all you need to do is to notch properly, so that when you turn it out, it will relax well. So now I'm going to flip this like this. You want to use your scissors to make sure to push out everything. And then I'll also notch this one too like this, and also push it out. So now I can go ahead and cut out my excess zipper. So you can see what my band looks like on top of it. So you want to just pin this. You want to make sure that you pin this. And if you take note, you'll notice that they are equal. They are equal at this point. Can you see? They are very, very equal. What I did was to get the midpoint of my skirt. That's the front piece. You can see I notched it before and got the midpoint of the belt too. And then I placed it on it. So you don't want to make the mistake of just placing it anyhow, and then one will be short or one longer than the other. So please just be careful when you are doing this. So I'm going to pin from this point all the way to the other end, and then I'll show us the next thing to do. So after pinning the down part of my band, you want to make sure that they are equal. Can you see? So you can see how flat this place is sitting. If you don't, if they are not equal, let's say you do something like this. Are you seeing what is going to happen? It will make your band not to sit well. You don't want that kind of issue at all. So please just make use of your pins. Pins are very important in tailoring. So make use of your pins. You can see I've pinned it. So all I need to do now, go to my sewing machine. I'm going to hold it really well. Place your hand here so that this is not shifting because you want it to be as flat as possible. I'm going to be top stitching it here very close to the tip. That's close to the tip. I'll do it all the way to this end, and then of course our skirt will be ready. I'll come back and show us. All right, so fixing my band, this is what we have. And see, it came out really nice. Everything is sitting well. This is the front. And then also for the slit, went ahead to finish it up. All I did was to top stitch it. We have different ways of finishing our slit. You can overlap it, you can use hemming gum, but this is what I want. So I'm going to wear this skirt on the mannequin so that we can see how to create the bow at the back. It's noisy. Okay. So I want the skirt on the mannequin. This is my bow on the back here. So I can't zip up this skirt because my mannequin box is bigger than it. So all I need to do now is to place it like this.